Emotional roller coaster. I'm gonna go with that. Hello, my name is Alex Does F1 Stuff and welcome to a speed review for round number 16 for the Sakhir Grand Prix around the Bahrain Outer Circuit. Now, oh my, that was a race. That was ridiculous. Bonkers race, and one that F1 needed, and just to add to this awesome 2020 season. Now, I am also working on changing the lighting as I just have pretty much a better bulb directly above me. I'm trying to find a different lampshade. It's annoying having to record this late in the evening. I wouldn't normally do it, but seeing as the race was this late, I have to. But if you are unfamiliar with my speed review series, I try and run down the entirety of the weekend in as quick a time as possible, preferably one take and preferably under 5 minutes, but that is neither of those are a given. So without further ado, we will jump straight on in to practice one and begin the review. It is George Russell leading in the Mercedes, taking over from Lewis Hamilton, with the Red Bull splitting the two Mercedes, with Bottas struggling ever so slightly in 4th. The two AlphaTauris had an amazing weekend in 5th and 6th, with Renault battling with the Ferraris and Haas and Williams all the way at the back with the struggling McLarens as well. Practice 2 was much the same, Russell sort of dominating so far on Friday, ahead of Max Verstappen, with Bottas struggling down in P11, Alfa Romeo is just outside the top 10 as well, AlphaTauri is doing extremely well in 6th and 9th, and once again the Williams nearer the back, and Leclerc having a gearbox issue during the weekend. And practice 3, however, is led by Max Verstappen, from 2 tenths from Valtteri Bottas, with Russell this time struggling slightly, 6 tenths off of Max Verstappen's Red Bull. Racing Point have put in a decent performance, with Gasly as well in P3. Renault have picked it up, although Daniel Ricciardo is down in P14, but once again it is the 2 Haas cars and the 2 Williams cars at the bottom. And with practice all done and dusted, we jump straight on into Q1, which sees, unfortunately, the Williams, Kimi Raikkonen and Pietro Fittipaldi all out in Q1, and uber close to being out in Q1 is Alex Albon, struggling in qualifying so far, 6 tenths off of Max Verstappen. The 2 Ferraris doing really well inside the top 10, the 2 AlphaTauris as well doing extremely well, and then Q2 we see it topped by Max Verstappen, and it is the 2 AlphaTauris who make it through into Q3, with Kvyat ahead of Gasly. Absolutely amazing performance, but it is Alex Albon who is out again, 6 tenths back to Max Verstappen. That is stupid. The 2 Mercedes are starting on the medium tyre, everybody else is starting on the soft inside the top 10, and unfortunately Lando Norris couldn't get a lap together in Q2 either, and he is out and will start 15th, but he did have a little engine change, so he starts all the way at the back instead. And then we head to Q3, which is topped by Valtteri Bottas, and he grabs a pole position just ahead, 26 milliseconds to George Russell, with Max Verstappen just 30 milliseconds behind that as well. Uber close for the top spot, with Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari nabbing P4, Perez P5, Kvyat an amazing P6 for AlphaTauri, ahead of Renault, McLaren and Gasly, with Racing Point's Lance Stroll in P10. And with qualifying all done and dusted, we jump on into the race. The race which was won by Sergio Perez in the Racing Point. That is bonkers. Esteban Ocon has made it onto the podium for Renault, his first podium, Sergio Perez's first win, the first time I've ever heard the Mexican national anthem on the podium. Bonkers stuff. Lance Stroll makes it a Racing Point 1-3. Who the hell could have predicted that? A Racing Point 1-3. That is awesome stuff. Carlos Sainz is P4 after running in the podium spots for such a long duration of this race. Ricciardo P5 and Alex Albon P6, with the man that is threatening to take his seat winning the Grand Prix, and you're only P6. That is not enough. But Mercedes buggered it up. They lost it. 8th and 9th. Russell does score his first points of his career in his F1 career, but he lost a win. He lost an almost certain win, dominating throughout the whole race, got the better of Valtteri Bottas at the start and led from there, kept a comfortable gap, and Mercedes buggered it up on the pit stops, put Bottas's tyres on his car. He then had to come back in. A late safety car again came out. He then got a late puncture, had to pit again. It all fell to pot in the last quarter for George Russell. And there was a big incident on lap 1 involving Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, and also Sergio Perez. He was last at one point, and this is the consequence of that. Charles Leclerc diving a little bit up the inside, clipping Sergio Perez, causing him to spin. Max Verstappen avoiding the incident, and unfortunately not avoiding the wall. A bonkers race. If you have not seen it, go and watch it. And the consequences of this, if we look at the championships now, Hamilton still leading the championship, and it is all done and dusted, 127 points, but Perez is now P4 ahead of Ricciardo, Leclerc just holding on to P6 ahead of Sainz, Albon slipping slightly further down the order now in 8th, Stroll is also leapt above Gasly as well. But crucially, in the Constructors' Championship, Racing Point is now P3, 10 points clear from McLaren, and Renault have actually gained on them as well. And just a visualization of all of this data for you guys, here is a graph for the Drivers' Championship, and then here is a graph for the Constructors. And that is the end of the speed review for the Sakhir Grand Prix. Bonkers race. If you have not seen it, go and watch it. Crazy. I will admit, the first 50 laps, which go by so fast, were a bit because it was Russell 2 seconds, 3 seconds to Bottas, and that was about it. There was a little bit of jostling in the midfield, but it was mostly DRS trains, which isn't particularly exciting. But then Jack Aitken has a little moment, loses his front wing, causes a safety car, and then it all goes to shit. It all goes to shit from there. And the two Mercedes come in. For some reason, they decide to put Bottas's tyres on Russell. He goes out, does a lap, realises they're the wrong tyres. It then causes Bottas to be slow because they put Russell's tyres on. Then they realise, then they take them off, put Bottas's tyres back on that they've just taken off. He did about a 20-30 second stationary stop. Oof. Wow. Breathless from that race. Emotional roller coaster, absolutely. Go there again? I don't know. I think it was all mainly caused by lap 1 as well, knocking out Max Verstappen and also Charles Leclerc, who could have been a contender as well. But definitely Jack Aitken was the main cause of all of that eventfulness. Join me tomorrow for my race weekend review, in which we will be breaking down the race in a much more thorough and detailed sort of version. Every single driver will get a detailed breakdown of their performances, as well as practice and qualifying as well. But thank you guys so much for watching, and catch me in the next video with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.